certain parts of our brain are forming based on whether we have estrogen in our system or testosterone in our system. It's pretty incredible. Hi there, and welcome back to Therapist Thursdays. I'm Dr. Syra, and today I want to share with you some ideas that might be controversial for some. So let me make a disclaimer before we even jump in. Today I want to talk to you about some of the differences in estrogen and testosterone brains. And so typically we would call that male or female brains. Now, there is a lot of debate in the field whether there's actually gender differences in biologically in our brains or not. There's debate. And the research that I found has, and if you go online, you could probably find a case, you could make a case for anything probably. But I've found that in my work, in my research, that there are some differences that can be measured. And we're not sure if they're necessarily biological or environmental, because we are socialized from when some of us from when we're in the womb and our parents know our gender, there's already something going on there. So let's just say it's a combination of biology and environment, nurture and nature that makes this happen. We don't need to pull apart what's what, but there are some differences. And some of it is just based on the fact that a fetus that has male genitalia will have a particular testosterone flood in its brain that a female fetus won't. And I don't want to get into too much of because gender is also kind of a social construct as well, and how we show up. There's that whole debate, and I don't want to get into that, and that's why I'm saying it might be controversial. So if that's a sore spot for you, or if this isn't the right topic for you, I would just say skip this video. And that's okay, watch something else. But for those who are interested in some of the male-female brain differences, this is for you. So here we go. Oh, the other thing I want to mention is this is generalization. So there will be people who do not fit these descriptions. Also, there's not enough work done on genders outside of male and female gender. So trans brains, for example, there isn't enough research yet for us to know what's happening in the brain of a trans person or a non-binary person. We just don't know yet, but we do know stuff about this. And I'm actually going to base my little chat here on Luann Brisendine's books, The Male Brain and the Female Brain. Fantastic read, so fascinating to talk about how hormones actually impact behavior. So one of the, I wanted to frame this in the context of communication because there are differences. So one of the things that they talk about in these books is how, what happens in utero, right? So in utero, when a baby boy is being developed, when his body's starting to develop, I think I know the numbers, but I could be slightly off. So correct. So forgive me if I'm off, but something like 16 baby boys move their limbs and legs about 16 times more than baby girls in utero. They're moving their arms and legs 16 times more. Baby girls move their mouth, lips, and tongue 252 times more than baby boys in utero. So before we're even born, our bodies are working certain muscles. Certain parts of our brain are forming based on whether we have estrogen in our system or testosterone in our system. It's pretty incredible, right? So now let's fast forward that into how we're socialized after we're born, into what society expects of us after we're born, into what our families are expecting. And you might find that in general, women or people with female brains tend to speak more verbally. They're more verbal than those with testosterone in their brains or male brains. They tend to move more. And, it's a really interesting kind of thought experiment I have as I'm watching my sister's triplets. She has twin boys and a girl. And it's, the girl picked up language. Like she has her words, she's talking in sentences. The boys are still not so much talking. but their spatial coordination, their movement, their body awareness, how quickly they walked and how easily they move and navigate and put things, construct things and put them together. That's where their energy and effort is on that. Her energy and effort is on speaking and building connections with people. That's kind of where she's prioritizing. They were all born at the exact same time with the same parents in the same context, right? So you can't even say like birth order or anything like that. It's like everything's the same. But there are differences. And we're watching this as a family and kind of say, oh, I wonder if that's a brain thing. I wonder if that's a socialization thing. I wonder like what might that be? But we're seeing that like, in our home laboratory, we're kind of seeing that difference in where the priority goes as far as energy of the brain. One of the other things that happens when a baby boy is in utero is that there's a flood of testosterone that happens, and it actually impacts the corpus callosum, which is the connective tissue between the hemispheres of the brain. Also impacts the frontal cortex, which is around impulse control, verbal articulation, and those executive function in general. So when we talk about, and many women, people identifying as women will joke that, I can do so many things at the same time and you can't even do, and it's partly that's a brain thing, right? Our brains are designed to be all like kind of an all over experience all at once, whereas the male brain is more compartmentalized. They'll move from one part of the brain to another. It doesn't light up the whole thing when we're engaging in the task. So these are real differences, right? And so now if you're thinking about, again, back to communication, if a male brain and a female brain person are having a conversation and the female brain is going like to this and to that and to that and how this connects to that and that connects to this in the conversation, and the male brain is just trying to follow the thread of where's the problem that I need to solve, because male brains light up when there's a problem to be solved and they get a dopamine hit when they've solved the problem. Doesn't happen like that in female brains. So he's following, trying to find the thread of where is the problem that I can solve, and she's just emoting, because for the way that a lot of women are socialized is talking is how we bond, right? So I don't necessarily need you to solve my problem. I just need you to be here while I talk, really. Listen to me, but not really even. I don't really even care sometimes if you're processing what I'm saying. I just need to feel like you're with me in this conversation, right? I remember with my husband when we first met, I used to say, oh, we have such great conversations. And as I paid more and more attention to some of these differences, I noticed that like, yeah, I don't know if it's that we have great conversations. I think he's just a really effective listener. I don't know if he talks as much as I do, but he's really good at making me feel heard, right? Because he's kind of picked up some of these things that are necessary. One of the easiest responses that he has is, makes me feel heard. Sometimes he'll ask me, is this something you're telling me because you want me to help you fix it, or are you just venting? And then I can, specifically say to him, nope, I'm just venting right now. Or yeah, can you help me problem solve that? So it's really helpful if we give each other clues when we're coming from these different brains on what the communication is about. Is this communication because I need to feel connected to you and so therefore I'm talking? Is this about a problem that needs to be solved? Is this about something that I'm upset about that I just need you to hear and go away and think about and come back with a solution? What is the purpose of the communication? That's something actually that we teach in our relationship coaching work, is teaching couples who are heterosexual and have these different brains, how do you actually interface with each other when you're speaking for different reasons? Your communication is about different things. One of the things that a lot of female brains can practice, and they're really good at it once they get it, is body language, right? So noticing body language. Okay, how do I explain this? So in a group of men, problems will only be shared, generally problems are only shared once they're solved. Unsolvable problems are often kept private. Now that's, again, socializing. That's how we're socialized in this particular culture that we live in, or at least the culture that I'm living in. Whereas women will often talk to solve the problem, talk it out. Through talking, the problem gets solved. Right? So it's rare to see two guys sitting and talking about their problems, right? They might be doing a shared activity and sharing a few words, but sharing company and time together, and they're co-regulating, their bodies are co-regulating, and that feels like bonding. Whereas two women sitting together, if there's complete silence and nobody's talking, something's probably wrong, right? Something's really wrong if they're just sitting there. Or maybe these are two women particularly don't talk much. That's possible, but in general. So just think about that next time you're communicating with somebody who might have a different kind of brain than yours. And like I said, these are generalizations, don't fit for everyone, and there's complexity to gender. I get all that. But I just thought it was really fascinating research that I wanted to share with you about some of the differences. So again, the books are The Female Brain by Luann Brizendine and The Male Brain by Luann Brizendine. They're such eye-openers around just understanding ourselves and our own brains and the brains of our loved ones. So those are my thoughts. Use your brain and your communication style to actually get through by understanding also what the other person needs from you, not just what you need from them. Until next time, take care and like and subscribe.